If you have been diagnosed with PCOS or know someone who has, I need you to watch this. Because as of yesterday, May 13th, 2026, the condition you've been told you have no longer exists under that name. After 11 years, 22,000 people, and a landmark paper in the Lancet, doctors just admitted they've been calling it the wrong thing this entire time. And that wrong name has been causing women to be misdiagnosed, undertreated, and dismissed for decades. Today, I'm telling you everything that just changed and what it means for the 170 million women worldwide who have this condition. The old name PCOS led to a fundamental misunderstanding. A complex hormonal and endocrine disorder was reduced to a misconception about cysts and a focus on ovaries, which led to misdiagnoses and inadequate treatment. Here's the problem. The name polycystic ovary syndrome implies that the main issue is cysts on the ovaries, but there are no actual cysts. Dr. Melanie Cree, one of the authors of the Lancet paper, said, there are no cysts in the ovary, so it's very confusing. So what is it really? PMOS is a condition that affects hormones, metabolism, and ovary function, often leading to irregular periods, excess androgen levels, and increased risk of diabetes and heart disease. Medical care for this condition has traditionally focused on fertility and reproduction at the expense of other effects of the disorder. Most women don't get appropriate metabolic screening, which means serious health problems can go unnoticed for years. Think about what that means practically. A teenage girl goes to her doctor with acne, irregular periods, and weight gain. The doctor focuses on her ovaries. They prescribe birth control. No discussion about metabolic conditions. No screening for metabolic conditions occurs. This can have serious health consequences later. By the time she's 30, she has insulin resistance, elevated cardiovascular risk, and nobody ever connected it to that teenage diagnosis. Up to 70% of women with this condition may not even know they have it. 70%. That's not a diagnosis problem. That's a naming and awareness problem. A name that pointed at the wrong organ for 80 years has real consequences for real women. Women came in with fatigue, brain fog, anxiety, weight gain that wouldn't respond to diet, acne, hair loss, and were told it was stress. Because doctors were looking at ovaries when they should have been looking at the entire endocrine and metabolic system. After receiving input from 22,000 people over 11 years, polycystic ovary syndrome was renamed polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome, PMOS. The new name recognizes that this condition is not primarily a gynecological disorder, but a complex multi-system condition involving endocrine, metabolic, reproductive, dermatological, and psychological health. The new name is being adopted globally, including the US, and aims to improve diagnosis, reduce stigma, and better capture the full scope of the condition. What does PMOS stand for? Polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome. Every word matters. Polyendocrine, multiple hormones involved, not just ovarian ones. Metabolic, insulin resistance, blood sugar, cardiovascular risk are central features, not side effects. Ovarian, yes, ovaries are involved, but they're not the origin of the problem. This one-letter change, from C to M, represents 11 years of advocacy, 22,000 voices, and a fundamental shift in how medicine understands a condition affecting 1 in 8 women worldwide. PMOS is characterized by hormonal fluctuations with impacts on weight, metabolic and mental health, skin, and the reproductive system. This is why so many women were dismissed for years. They came in with fatigue, brain fog, anxiety, weight gain that wouldn't respond to diet, acne, hair loss, and were told it was stress, because doctors were looking at ovaries when they should have been looking at the entire endocrine and metabolic system. The new name better reflects the fact that people with PMOS often have metabolic disturbances, increased risk of type 2 diabetes due to insulin resistance, and increased risk of obesity. These aren't complications. They're core features of the condition that were being systematically ignored because the name pointed doctors in the wrong direction. The number one treatment is lifestyle changes, less processed food, exercise, and a good night's sleep. This is where it connects directly to everything we cover on this channel. The most effective treatment for PMOS is not a pill. It's the same protocol we've been building all along. Reducing processed food reduces insulin resistance. Daily walking reduces androgen levels and improves metabolic markers. Better sleep regulates the hormonal fluctuations that drive symptoms. Gut health, which we covered last week, directly impacts the endocrine system that drives PMOS. The renaming will include updates to clinical guidelines, medical education, and international disease classification systems, ensuring consistent adoption of the new terminology worldwide. PCOS will officially become PMOS in the International Classification of Diseases in 2028. The medical world is catching up. Now you know before most doctors do. If you have PCOS, it's now called PMOS, and more importantly, you now know that it's not primarily about your ovaries. It's about your hormones, your metabolism, your cardiovascular health, your mental health, and your entire endocrine system. Share this video with someone who has PCOS today. This news is 24 hours old, and most women haven't heard it yet. Hit like so YouTube shows this to the people who need it. And next week, we're back to our regular series, covering the one mineral that 45% of Americans are deficient in that controls sleep, stress, and energy simultaneously. Subscribe so you don't miss it.